Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me? Welcome everybody to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host Pete Orbea, and we're here on WLTK-DB.com right behind me here. If you're just listening to the audio version, welcome to the show. If you're watching the show, you can always find us on all the socials under WLTK-DB, or you can find my show on Facebook at Paranormal Pete Show. So thanks for following everybody. Thanks for watching, listening. If you can't catch the live broadcast, excellent archive on the station website, and also I have a Podbean account there, and I think you can find it in many streaming places if you can't catch the live show, which I don't think most people do because we're all so busy all the time in this life, right? But big shout out to host of Haunted Voices and author of The Haunted Voice, station owner Todd Bates. Big thanks. He's always on the ones and twos, making this ship run all the time. He's got a full load. We've got, I think, 25 shows on the station now. So it's a lot of work there. And but big thanks, and also to producer of the show, Mike Beers, good friend. And so hopefully if you're watching out there, say hey. If anytime, hit the comments there if you've got a question. I'm feeling we're going to talk about some pretty fun and cool and deep stuff tonight, with special guest James Hunnicutt coming on tonight. He's a friend of mine, amazing musician, and we're going to be playing some music tonight. We're going to be talking music and energy and all that kind of stuff. So join the conversation by hitting the comments there, and we'll see it and we'll get it up there. If you like the show intro, that's my band Steady Rock Cosmonaut. This is my weekly shameless self-promotion for the band. You can look us up at steadyrockcosmonaut.com, or anywhere that you stream music from, you'll find us there. Got some great shows coming up, and we're like almost halfway through January already. Todd and I were just talking. It's crazy. We're 10 days into the new year. Seems like we were all just saying Happy New Year yesterday. So I got some great shows coming up next week. I've got psychic medium McKenna Long. She's coming on the show, and I've done some gallery readings with her. Coming up also on the show is going to be Rocky Smith, the coordinator for the Oregon Ghost Conference, which is coming up. And I'll be off on the 31st of this month, but back February 7th with psychic medium Jackie Campbell, who I met at the OC Paracon. So looking forward to that, and stay tuned for announcements on more shows coming up. We're almost to episode 100 here, which is going to be, I think, a huge feat for me. And just, again, thanks to everybody for supporting the show and listening. And I hope you're getting something from it each week. I have always said that I didn't think I'd make it past 10 episodes. And so here I am getting close to 100. So I'm going to be looking to do a really fun 100th episode blowout. So stay tuned for guests and announcements on that show. That will be here in, I guess, about a couple months. So I'm off on the 31st. This weekend I'm stoked. I got a ghost walk on Saturday night, and that's a 3-hour tour here in Port Gamble, where you get to hear all the ghost stories and the history as well. So that's coming up this Saturday night, 7 to 10 p.m. If you are in the Puget Sound area looking for something to do, you can go to my website at portgambleparanormal.com, where you can get tickets and see all the upcoming dates. I also have some special investigation dates coming up. where the public, you guys, can come investigate and see what an investigation is like, and kind of maybe learn how some of the tools work, and some investigation practices, and learn about the other side, all at the same time. So again, you go to portgambleparanormal.com and you can see all the upcoming dates and tickets. Those are always a lot of fun, and the last few I've done, it's been pretty active in the Walker Ames house. So um, it's our long-term residents are just there hanging out. So often we have experiences, pretty cool. And I think I'll have to ask James tonight if he's had experiences at the Walker Ames house. He's been with me there a few times. So coming up, we got some great conferences coming up. I hope you like going to conferences, or if you're on the fence about going to a conference, like, geez, are all these people going to think I'm crazy? Actually, the conference is the best place to go, where people aren't going to say you're crazy, because you might have similar experiences to other people. So coming up, there's the Oregon Ghost Conference, March 24th through 26th, down in Seaside, Oregon. And again, we'll upcoming guests, we'll have Rocky Smith, the coordinator, on to talk about what's new, what he's most excited about for the conference. I've been going to that conference since 2013, I believe. It's a great group of people, and you can certainly learn a lot. So that's coming up, OregonGhostConference.com. And then there's the OC Paracon coming up on its second year of in person. Last year was the first conference in person, but it's going to be first weekend in October down in Anaheim. So if you're interested in that one, you want to check out ocparacon.com for that one. And then, of course, we'll be having the Port Gamble Ghost Conference Veterans Day weekend right here in Port Gamble. And you can find information on that once I post it at portgamble.com. Just go to the event. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. A lot of things I'm excited about, and I'm just going to keep plugging away. One thing I wanted to talk about tonight, and I think we'll bring it up with James as well, and kind of get his take and everything, is, we get in this new year, and like, I was feeling really good. 23 is going to be a great year. I think a lot of people have that sentiment. I think that's an annual thing, right? New year, new hope, and everything. And I'm still feeling like 23 is going to be a really good year. But I think there's a bit of strange energy out there, or zapping, draining energy out there, whether it's just what's going on in the world. Which, by the way, I want to send good energy out to all the people in California and everywhere where there's bad stuff going on. So, but anyways, I hope everyone's feeling good in this new year, and watching out for distractive energy, or things that might drain you, or if you're feeling overwhelmed. Then let's bring it. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, let's bring it in here for a second. Be present. I'm going to slow our brains down and be here right now. Be where you're at. Look at your surroundings. Be comfortable with where you're at. And let's bring it in, right? Be present. Hopefully it'll help us not feel so overwhelmed. Take a few deep breaths. And let's get this party started. Here we go. Now we're all here, right? We're all here and ready to meet James Hunnicutt, who is I love his bio. It's great, sober, plant-based singer, songwriter, musician, and advocate for, what is PMA? I'll have to ask him. I know what it is. I'm just blanking on it. From Kitsap County. He's doing his best to be mindful, kind, and an ever-improving human while inhabiting his meat suit. Let's have a big Paranormal Pete Show welcome for James Hunnicutt. James.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
How's it going, everybody?
Good to see you. We got somebody saying hello. Mary, good friend of the show. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Hello, Mary.
Yeah, you guys are in for a real treat tonight. No pressure, James.
I know. I was shaking listening to you talk. I was like, oh, no.
Oh, what?
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, just to further introduce you, I think I don't know how long we've known each other, at least 10, 12 years, something like that. Um, the old Winterland days and before that, even,
Totally.
So
OG Kitsap County, man.
OG Kitsap County. Okay, PMA. I'm blanking on it. What is it?
Oh, it's a positive mental attitude.
Boom. There you go. Oh, we got somebody
Let's
else.
see. Got it.
There you go.
There
Yep.
we go. Yeah. Okay.
That's something we all could use, and it's something I think that you have really discovered and live by that. It's hard. I think a lot of people find something cool that speaks to them and can have meaning in their life, but then when it comes to executing it, it's hard. It's hard to follow through, and I feel like you have ever since I've known you, you've always had this attitude, this positive mental attitude, and how how hard is it to maintain yourself in this? Is it being present a lot? Is it reflecting on gratitude? You've kind of found this space, and how did you get there?
Oh boy. I think you nailed. I think you nailed a big part of it. Like being present. Like I'm glad you did that too at the beginning. Like that. Just breathing, meditating, and whether it's like walking meditation. I'll meditate when I drive, like not with eyes closed, obviously, but
Right.
like, but yeah, just taking that moment to reconnect with the breath and who you are, where you are, and gratitude. Yeah, like man, I make gratitude lists constantly. It's not that often that I'll write it down, but when I wake up, I'll say thank you before I get out of bed, and I just send that out to the universe, and uh, kind of address to everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's all part of the story,
Yeah.
I guess just learning that, and it's been harder. Like I've been struggling these last few years. I think everybody has been.
Mm-hmm.
It's been tough, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of been the hardest time in my adult life since I got sober and since the last few years of my drinking, which is like 20 years ago now. But it's been tough. But just having that skill set now, having that toolbox, because it's like it's no different. We're musicians. It's no different than playing an instrument. Like practice, the more you make that kind of
Right.
what you do, it I guess it becomes more of your default setting, so it's, even though I've been struggling lately, it's like I still can return to that space. Like what used to be years of rah, 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 and bad attitude and anxiety and stuff is now, it's like maybe it's a few days or just a few minutes at times, you know what I mean? I can catch it and realize, okay, just breathe. You're
Reconnect.
not present. You're getting caught up in a story that's pulling you forward or backward or to the side, but that's not really what's going on and who you are. Like, so
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
I I like being pulled, into the future or backwards, because it really is like that. When
totally.
your mind gets to you. I got another person saying, "Hey, Katie, great friend of the show here. Welcome to James.
Hey, Katie.
Thanks for watching." And we got another person commenting, "Hello, everyone." And by the way, if you want your name to show up through StreamYard on Facebook, in the comment section, if you go to StreamYard's Facebook page, and I think there's a button you click there, and then your name will show up if you want your name to show up. But great sentiments of like you've kind of had the realization at some point where you're like, how to catch yourself, you know that it's about reconnecting, like being
Totally.
present and stuff. We talk about being present on this show all the time, and it's something that I struggle doing myself, being present, and finding myself a lot getting pulled forward or backwards, or just worrying about what's happening tomorrow, stressed
Totally.
about what happened yesterday or whatever it is. It's just, it really is hard to do that in everyday life. But you seem to have found a way to do that. Now, when you meditate, I like that you meditate when you drive. I've I
Totally.
I've done that too. It's the vibration of the car can be helpful
Totally.
to, to like focus on that, as long as it doesn't put you to sleep. But
Totally. Yeah.
right.
Don't get too present. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's kind of in your, you know, I think when you start meditating, when you start being present, things like that, you learn about yourself, right?
Totally.
You look inward and you learn things that work for you, things that don't. It may confirm things you didn't think you liked or didn't work for you. But like when you're meditating, like, are you going somewhere or are you there? Like, kind of what's your process when you do that, driving or not?
Yeah. Well,
What?
it's kind of fluid, really. Like I don't really have a set routine necessarily. There's a few things that I'll do though. Like I'll focus on the breath. Um, Sometimes I'll focus just on gratitude, or I'll focus on kindness or love, acceptance. Um, just an idea or a theme that can be very valuable and transformative, constructive
Yeah.
to focus on or utilize.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's focusing on the breath. Sometimes that's doing like salutations. Um, or I'll go out with feathers and I'll go to the four directions and I'll give thanks, literally physically point and do it and say it. Um, so it's kind of a mixed bag. Like I don't have like a set routine necessarily,
Right.
but as far as the being present or going somewhere, it can be a little bit of both too. Sometimes it can become quite insular and you can almost feel the sound and everything kind of come back, like you bring everything back to a kind of a small, calm, focused point.
Yeah.
And other times it's expansive, like radiating, like you can literally feel more like kind of tuning into the chakras and like cleansing them, like you literally feel your presence and your energy expanding. I've
Yeah.
had, yeah, it's I don't know, I guess it's kind of like music with me. It's like I try to look at it as a very open new script that's kind of, it's writing and kind of pulling me along rather than um, me trying to control or lead the process. Like I've learned to just, I'm like kind of a passenger with my creativity. Like just pay attention and, try and keep up with it. Like don't try and force it for sure. And, just kind of whatever's going on that day and work with it. Like, okay, it's like the idea, I'm sure we've talked about this too. Like that when you're meditating, like it can be really difficult because thoughts will pop up and you'll start to get frustrated. But you kind of learn to just, rather than grab onto that thought or look at it as good or bad or whatever it is, you just kind of acknowledge that it's there. It's like in your mind, you kind of just tap it like, okay, there we go. I'm frustrated or I'm kind of restless today, but not feeding into that or like and getting upset. Just kind of like, okay, there's some restlessness today.
Yeah.
Just kind of acknowledge it, be the observer,
Yeah.
and then to kind of go back to the breath or go back to what you're focusing on. Um, yeah, all of that and none of that, I guess sometimes.
No, that makes it. Well, it makes sense to me, and I'm sure it makes sense to people out there listening. By the way, if anybody has any questions for James or myself or what we're talking about, hit the comment section there. And I think you touched on something that's really a good thing to remember, especially if it's if you're kind of starting out with trying to learn about yourself and bring your energy up. You're learning about meditating and all that. I really like the point of it, and as you're talking about it, really kind of was like, oh yeah, I totally agree with this, that you're letting the meditation pull you along. You're letting, it's like jamming off the cuff, right?
Totally.
You're riding that, pushing the envelope, you're riding it, right? And so you've kind of grasped that in your meditation, and I think it really does help, because when you mentally try, like, you end up fighting yourself.
Exactly.
You end up fighting your own mind and your own thoughts. Like you said, they come in there. um, yeah, and one thing I do is if thoughts start coming up when I'm trying to like ground or like just recenter myself, leave it there. Like you said, you're acknowledging that it's
Totally.
there. Like it becomes a part of where you're at, and it's just I visualized thoughts to into like a bench, and it's just like this bench, and wherever I'm at.
That's
but
cool. Yeah.
it's there. You're not trying to push things, you're not trying to force things, but you're just kind of letting it ride. And it's much like I feel like when you're like playing live and you know go off into space,
Totally.
like my band often does.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas you're connected with the other musicians. You do a lot of solo stuff, so I don't even know what you're connecting to, but you're connecting to something cool. But it's when you're playing with other people, and it's that kind of collective energy, and you're letting the music pull you, letting the music pull the creativity out of you, and you can do some really amazing things. And so, like, what do you think? I wanted to ask you. You do. You play in a lot of groups. You're wearing the shirt of one of them, the
Oh yeah.
Weirdos.
Yeah. Weirdos.
Yep, we had Scooter and Mikey on the show. Played some Weirdo songs on the show,
Cool.
and so part of what I want to do is bring music on every once in a while and play some music. Um, so you play in a lot of groups. You've played all over. Um, Playing, doing solo, doing your stuff, doing your putting your thoughts out there, and doing your own thing. What is it that draws you to doing that instead of or I don't want to ask, do you prefer one or the other, but like, what really draws you to doing your singer songwriter solo type music?
Well, that's a good one, man. Like it's I mean, obviously it's the love of music is a huge part of it, like I know that similarly, I know that like we both like when you start playing, it just kind of it takes you for a ride. You fall in love with it. And it stopped being a choice the second I picked up a guitar. It was literally like, okay, I'm just going to do this. And this is I thought it was baseball. I thought it was this or that, and maybe kind of thought I'd do that. But yeah, music just took over when I
Yeah,
started playing guitar when I was like 12. And I think that the my favorite part, or what draws me to the solo thing more so than playing in a band, because I love both dynamics. I love them both
yeah,
dearly, and I get different things out of both that don't come from the other necessarily as vividly or potently, and
yeah,
but the thing with the solo thing is it's so intimate, and I love that. It's so stripped down too. If you just have your voice and an instrument, like you can't get much, like, break it down much more than that to
yeah,
the essence of what music could be, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I love that. I love the simplicity and the intimacy. It used to scare me, but now I love it. I love being that open and personal with people
yeah.
doing it.
And
And
you're really kind of vulnerable too. I mean,
yeah,
there's like no other people to look at.
totally. There's
you
no
know, this
safety net. Like if you screw up, you screw up. You can't like, oh, I snapped a string and do like a windmill and then the band keeps rocking and you know what I mean?
Woo!
Like, yeah, it's like you're just like, well, I screwed that up, and like there's nothing to hide it. It's like,
Yeah,
well, here I am.
yeah.
Uh
But you seem so comfortable in it. So keep going. Sorry.
oh, that's cool, man. I dig I call it free range conversation, you know. um like I think that kind of leading back to the mindfulness too is that as I started touring a lot, like when I first started playing solo, it was terrifying to me because I was used to having the band. Um,
Right.
so it's like I had to dig deeper. It's like I wasn't very sociable or communicative. I didn't talk much. I was really kind of nervous up there. Especially when I got sober too. It's like I took the liquid courage away. So that was like starting over. But once I started touring a lot and really traveling a lot and kind of constantly pushing myself out of my comfort zone, going to new town, new people, not knowing what to expect and getting comfortable with that process, that's when I started to really kind of correlate. It became a much deeper spiritual thing to me. And I realized that when I'm up there and I'll talk to myself and I'll give thanks too. It's like it's a meditation and a prayer of sorts. Like that I guess I when I was talking about how meditating, that's my favorite way to do it.
Yeah.
And what brought me into that kind of interest and awareness of that whole practice and going deeper spiritually, I realized that's what I love about music more than anything else is it helps me to be present. It gets me out of my head, gets me
Right.
beyond my thoughts. It's like this really beautiful melodic form of meditating or prayer.
Yeah.
And once I started realizing that, and then started getting into meditation and learning how to pray and doing these different things spiritually, that fed into the music more too. So that would be my favorite thing, is that
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's like really, and inviting the spirit too, you know, literally it's like I'm giving thanks. I'll talk to myself or give thanks to whatever's helping me do what I'm doing in the moment, in between the verses. And I'll ask for help too. I'll ask things that are there with me to sing with me sometimes if my voice is rough, or there's a big note coming up that it might sound good or might not. I'll ask for help. Like I'll say, I commonly refer to that energy as my relatives, like a Lakota, like a whole Mataquiasan, like to all my relations, to all my relatives. I'll say, please help me or sing with me, if you will, relatives. And then that strength will come. My voice will be kind of rough, or I'll be feeling tired, and I'll ask for help.
Yeah.
Open myself up a little more, and then all of a sudden my voice comes back just, you know, stronger than before. So
Yeah.
that the solo thing, I find, because there's less distraction, you know, it's just me and my guitar and my voice, and that awareness, and being able to open myself. I'm not getting caught up in the rock and the 3 to 5 of us up there and trying not to knock each other over or whatever it is, you know. So the solo thing is more conducive to, like, for me to spiritually connect with the music too.
Yeah, and your energy that just is natural for you. Yeah. It's really cool. Well, let's hear some.
Cool.
Let's hear some music. You know, we're gonna play some music. We better get to it. So Black Until Dawn, tell us a little bit about it, and then we're gonna play it.
Okay. This song is actually, I wrote this for my old band Misery Seed, which is kind of a horror punk metal band that I was in the 90s. And yeah, totally, man. And it was originally inspired by Vlad the Impaler. It's kind of a vampire kind of thing, but I was thinking of like the original kind of inspiration for the vampire phenomenon, which I believe Vlad the Impaler is, you know,
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of like thought of that, because I love that, the vampire, the romanticism of it too. It's like this kind of supernatural love story. It's creepy, but it's romantic in this weird way too. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was going for with that. So it's a cool thing about it too is it's one of my mom's favorite songs that I've done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like she actually, in the recorded version, she thought the guitar work was really pretty. So it's like the ringtone. If I call or text her, it plays like the little lead guitar break in Black Until Dawn. So that's kind of fun too.
Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, let's hear it, and thanks for letting us play some of your music. Here we go.
Cool.
See me waiting, black until the dawn. Your heart is baited with life to be gone. Make you my angel, steal you with a kiss. Be mine forever, free to roam the stars. Like forever, it's been 10,000 years. Unending hunger, crystallizing tears. Come be my angel, seal it with a kiss. Be young forever, place you in the stars.
Yes. Just what I needed. That was great. Hey, so that was Black Until Dawn by James Hunnicutt, and you can check it out. I'll put it in the comments here, honeycuttmusic.com. Um, and your Facebook page is all the stuff you post on there is like, I've read it sometimes, been like, I needed that. So thank you
Cool. Thanks,
for
man.
for all that you put out there. But let James know what you thought in the comment section of the music. Very cool. My energy feels different. We got someone commenting, love the phrase "lace with the stars."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. So yeah,
Thank you.
great song. And what album is this on?
This is on 99 Lives, which I think is my third solo album
Look it
from
up, people.
2010. Yeah.
Look it up. Yeah, great song. We're going to take a quick station
Thanks.
break here. Now that we've raised everybody's energy, we're going to take a quick station break. We'll be right back here on the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbe, with special guest James Hunnicutt on the show. We'll be right back.
Cool.
Heard a girl scream down here.
Are you kidding me right now?
I'm listening.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Hey, welcome back to the show. You're on the Paranormal Pete Show. It's episode 90. Whew, 90. Wow. That's kind of a landmark for me. So, I'm glad
Awesome.
you're on here with me too. Getting
Congrats.
closer to 100. We're here on WLTK-DB.com, and of course, all the major streaming services under WLTK-DB. If you like this show, you've got to check out the other shows on the station. There's so many new ones, and there's just a lot of great content all week, from metaphysical, self-healing, to true crime and cryptids and paranormal. So there's all kinds of cool content throughout the week. So I hope you're listening to other shows and following other shows. There's a WLTK-DB talk group on Facebook. So anyways, check out all those shows. And that was a cool ad for Paraflix, one of our big sponsors for the show, and all their streaming services. So that was really cool. I'm gonna have to check out some of those shows, because I like to get spooked every once in a while, but not all the time. I could do that whenever I want. I get
Just a
spooked
little
out.
bit, right?
I get spooked out whenever I want. Well, so I wanted to share just kind of a funny story from way back when, all those years ago. And it was like when I first had met you, and well, I think we got to do the Rockathon thing together at Winterland, which was, or the round robin,
Yeah, that was fun.
Rockathon. And it was just like none of us had played together before, and it was just like, I don't know, give me a E minor something, and then we just went for it for 15 minutes. That was awesome. I was one of those, riding the
Totally.
envelope there. But around that time, so there was a contest, and I won a prize, and I never really win prizes. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, then I got drawn again for winning a prize. And my first thought was, oh, well, I already won something. I can't win twice. And it was guitar lessons with James is what the prize was. But I went up there within my head, I can't win twice. And so I said, oh, no, thanks. Give it to somebody else. And then after all that, I was like, oh my God, James probably thinks I'm like the most like a stuck up, like, oh, so I don't need guitar lessons from this guy. I'm so good. And so I was like, oh no. And then I think you went on tour or something for a while or whatever. And I was like, God, I just left probably a really bad taste with James there.
That's
and
funny.
Then a couple years later, I brought it up to you, and you're like, "Well, I don't know. Okay, I don't remember, but okay."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." Phew, phew. But it was like because I didn't think I could win twice, And so I was like, "Oh no, give it away," and then realized that looked really bad because it looked like I was just like, "Nah, I don't need lessons from this dude here."
See what kindness can get you? Yeah.
This guy's a shredder up there, and
It's funny.
Yeah. The way life goes, right? Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about like spirits and like what kind of experiences you've had. You've been up here to Port Gamble a few times, and the energy is just different here. Have you had any experiences spiritually or with what everyone calls paranormal? Have you had any experiences up here or just in general?
I definitely have had some experiences when we did the Walker Ames house together. I know there was some temperatures, some sounds, and just that feeling, just I'm like, I haven't had too many visual type experiences. When I was a teenager, I did. And, but I haven't, what I get is I feel things and I get touched, like physically. Sometimes things will touch me, or I'll feel something touch my hair. Like, it's gentle, thankfully. It's not like really like intrusive. But it's just like a little tap or a tickle. And that happens to me periodically, somewhat on the regular, not like every day, but I don't know, maybe once a month or every few months. Sometimes maybe more often than that.
That's high frequency, I would think, for something like that. Interesting. Now, when you feel this touch, I mean, do you immediately know what it is because you've learned to recognize it, or does it have to be like you have to like have nothing else going on where you notice it, or like how do you learn to recognize that?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it so much. Is that I guess it just I'll notice like something happening, and I think more times than not I'm actually busy. Like it'll happen. Like I'm sitting in front of the laptop. This is where I do most of my recording. In the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll be happening when I'm mixing or something. I don't think it's ever happened actually when I'm meditating. Come to think of it, I think it's usually I'm doing something and then I just notice it's almost like someone tapped me. Maybe something's trying to tell me to take a break. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. Like, man, you need to get up and walk around, or like go eat something. You've been mixing for like 8 hours straight. Like go eat a granola bar or something.
Well, I think it's interesting that you've noticed it's not when you're meditating. It's like when you're doing something, you're into something, and that to me, like, would suggest that you're open, man. Your energy's open. You're just an open conduit, I guess. And so that you're beings that you're experiencing it at different times. It just I feel like you're open. Have you ever considered yourself as a psychic or a medium or both? Have you ever thought of spirit and anything like that? Have you ever thought of it in that way?
Honestly, I hadn't really considered that I may be. I mean, I've had it like talking with you, and also I've had what I consider visions. Not like incredibly dream about something that happens tomorrow. Not like that, but just very insightful to what's going on, to where it's definitely not coincidental. I don't really believe in coincidence anyway. I think that there's a logical kind of serendipitous flow to everything.
Okay.
That, it's just sometimes or oftentimes we're not present enough, or we're distracted enough that it seems kind of weird or jarring, but really like supernatural is really just natural. It's
Right.
just a heightened sense of natural. You know, to me, that the term supernatural, everyone's like, ugh. It's like, that's just natural. It's a little bit deeper and more in tune natural that we've kind of fallen out of phase with. So it seems spooky or weird, but it's actually what we're capable of and what I think our ancestors did on the regular, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I hadn't really considered that, but I know that I have inclinations for things like the touching, and I've just had some really, really trippy, cool experiences that I call spiritual experiences with birds, with the animals that I'm more connected with spiritually,
Yeah.
that I believe were a spiritual encounter or um, phenomenon. Like, okay, I saw that raven do that weird stuff, but I don't know if that raven was physically there. It may have just been expressing itself
Yeah.
to me at that time, you know. So
As
I
you're,
guess, yeah.
yeah, no, as you're talking about this and birds, and what you're seeing or feeling, like it really speaks to me that like you're a messenger, man. And the birds are messengers, and you carry a message, and you play music in front of people. Your music has meaning to it. You know what I mean? Like when you think about the birds in a metaphorical sense or a symbol type thing, it's like they're your messengers, and you're also the messenger. Um,
True.
yeah, what do you think about that?
No, that makes perfect sense, man. Like, I mean, like the owl specifically, which is one of the ones that probably actually, no, probably about it. That's the one I have the trippiest connection with it, you know, like, which we could talk about the owl alone for days, man. But
Yeah,
owls are considered to be messengers. And in some cultures, some tribes, the owl is considered a constructive presence or a negative one. But I find it's like, don't kill the messenger. Like, the owl isn't bad. The owl is just incredibly insightful and very much literally a messenger. And if you look, whether it's Native American cultures, Norse cultures, like the owl plays like almost the identical role around the world, and it's a messenger of insight, knowledge,
yeah,
wisdom. Um, and that's how, yeah, the hawks, they're guardians. They travel with you. I've noticed these things, that very real things in my life that, as I opened up to them,
yeah,
they opened up to me. And we've discussed this too, that, you know, this reality is, it's it will reciprocate your touch and your intent. You know, if you give love out to the cosmos, it's gonna shine love back to you. Animals do it, birds, trees, whatever it is. If you're open and
yes,
putting that out there genuinely, it's gonna mirror it back to you, and you're gonna see magical things, like things that you would call, you know, quote unquote supernatural. I know I definitely have, and I hadn't really considered that so much, that I'm a messenger too, but I know that I consider myself a conduit to these things. I think we all are. And
right,
if we put that effort to be a conduit, these things will notice that you're doing that. You know, whether it's in the physical form or the spiritual form, they're aware of that, because animals and human children are far more intuitive than we are as human adults.
yes,
They notice that stuff. So it's
yeah,
like, if you're rolling that way and you're putting out that love and you're really open and you don't have any preconceived notions or weird negative blocks going on with that, they're going to be like, oh, he gets it. He's one of us. So they're going to show you some trippy things, or they may show you trippy things, whether it's while you're awake or while you're sleeping. But, you
yeah.
know,
I totally agree. And there's a connectedness, and I totally agree. What you put out there in the universe is what you get back. It's like the saying, you get as much as you put into something.
totally,
Like practicing guitar. The more you
totally.
put into it, the more you get out of it. Your job, your relationships, the more you put into it, the more you get out. It all builds up to that. And yeah, I think you should like meditate on being a messenger and see, what direction you get. I have
Okay.
a feeling you'll get some direction and maybe more interaction. So, pretty cool stuff. Well, speaking of birds and your connection, we've got another song here, Raven song, and tell us a little bit about this one, and then we'll play it.
Okay. This song, like, I hesitate to say I wrote it because I don't really know that the whole idea of writing songs, I feel like oftentimes like the most meaningful ones that really resonate, they happen so quickly that I don't even know if I could say I wrote that. Like, it might be 5 to 10 minute experience. Like, did I really write that song, or did it just kind of pop out of me, like almost like I sneezed or something? And
The song falls out. Yeah.
literally. And like, sometimes it's so quick, I'm like, I didn't really put any conscious thought in that or intent that I was aware of. It just kind of happened. And Raven's song was like a little bit longer, but the point with that is that of the songs that have kind of popped out of me, because it's a song that I guess, quote unquote, wrote, it means more to me than any other song that I've like written to this point, because of the intent behind it, because of that connection with the animals, with the birds. The raven specifically is a real, being the trickster too, which life is a trickster. You know, life is constantly going to throw curveballs, and you think, you know, it's going to zig, it's going to zag.
Yeah.
And ravens are that way. They're smart, and they'll mess with you. They'll constantly, and crows as well. And I love them dearly because they'll keep you guessing. And that song is inspired by the Haida story of the raven that stole the sun back from selfish man to hang the sun in the sky. And there are different variations of that story, but it might be my favorite story because it reminds me why I do what I do, and that's to give of myself, to give my light. And you burn yourself doing that, like you give of yourself. Like the raven, there are stories where the raven was the color of the rainbow, or the raven was white, and by hanging the sun in the sky, it burned itself black. That's why the raven and the crow are black. Mm-hmm. But you can still see the rainbow in their feathers. And so it's about that story. And it also reminds me, because I believe we're here to share our light that way. Like we're here to help each other through life. Like we are one tribe, and our troubles come from our failure to see that, like forgetting that, you know?
Yeah.
And so it means all that to me. So, and it's also my way of giving thanks to the raven spirit and these different animal spirits that like do so much in my life. So it's personally, it means more to me too. It's like what I call the real, like it's a really deep, like could not get any more core as to who I am and what I'm trying to do. Like that song sums it up, and it's my way of saying thank you, you know?
Excellent. Well, let's hear it. Raven song. Thank you.
Burn black your wings, fly oh so high, break open this heart to set free the light. Then just like the raven who stole back the sun, you'll give them the rainbow to shine on everyone. Racing like bullets thrown from a gun, sudden the blast, a flash, and we're when we've used all our feathers, our flying days are done. Just like that raven, we'll return to the sun.
Awesome. Thanks for sending some songs for us to play, and I hope everyone out there is enjoying that. Something a little different. I don't know if any other shows are having music, but I'm lucky to know
Cool.
some great people in music right here in Kitsap County, of all places.
Thanks, buddy. Right
Yeah,
back at you.
I don't. Those bends are tough on an acoustic. You got to have fingers of steel.
Light gauge strings too. I cheat
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, you're not supposed to admit that. No.
It's all good.
Really cool song and sentiment, and you know, uh, if there's one thing that you've found that you think anybody could do to improve themselves in their own life, and something that you've been working on for a long time, what's one thing that you would tell people how to get started to get to this PMA, positive mental attitude? What's one thing you would recommend?
Oh man.
Sorry, tough question.
No, it's actually very simple, easy question, but yeah, it's like sometimes the
deep.
more simple ones are the tougher. I don't know. I think you touched on it too, like, as far as how much you put into something is how much you get out. And I know that it's taken, like, to be positive, to be constructive, to be happy, to be content in life. It takes every bit as much work, if not more work, than it did when I was miserable and angry and depressed and anxiety ridden all the time. Like, it's that just to practice it, to make it a practice. Like, it's not, I think we have this idea that, if I just do this, or if I just get this, or whether it's doing an event, an object, sex, drugs, whatever, relationships, that, I'll be happy, but it's like, really, we got to work at it. We have to, and sometimes we have to choose happy or choose sober, which, I mean, that kind of thought process started with recovery for me. It started with sobriety, with, one day at a time. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time. Not that I'm not going to drink for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink this second. Sometimes you got to break it down to literally in the moment.
Yeah. And
it's the same thing with that, like choosing happy, choosing positive, choosing love. Sometimes you got to make that choice 100 times in a day, and that's that constructive, that, that gratitude, that choosing compassion, choosing, like, okay, if that could be me, that person that I think I want to strangle, or just, like, let them have it. Like, if things had just turned out a little bit differently, I could be that person. Or, maybe for a time I was, like, I don't know, to practice and to train ourselves to see ourselves in each other's eyes, see the people you love, not to be selective for our love, conditional that way. Because when we play favorites, that's what we're doing. So it's like, if we train ourselves to see the people that you really feel connected to, train yourself to see your child or your mom or your best friend in the eyes of, a stranger. It changes things, and that's when I'm present and rolling good. That's how I'm seeing things. I'm just seeing that that's my sister, that's my brother there. That's my family, all my relations, and that includes the humans. Like, this is. Yeah. I'm part of this human family. Like, I know that's a huge, convoluted, went all over the place kind of answer, but yeah. If there's one thing, here's 20.
Well, I mean, it's perseverance. And
yeah.
it really is easier to be angry on that side of things than it is to be content and happy and be in a good mental state. Like, it really is a lot harder to stay there and do that, which is why you need perseverance. which is,
Agreed.
kind of what I was getting from you is the sticking with it and the practicing of it. So I hope anybody listening out there, if you're um, looking for a way to make things better for yourself and all people around you, hopefully it's for yourself, most
Yeah.
importantly, and then it branches out from there. But um, I hope that you got something from this and this thinking, and that you do have to choose happy. And honestly, that it's great advice for me. It's great advice for anybody. Um, and so I just appreciate that you're out there putting it out there. You're sending it out there, and I think you're getting it back. You know,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
I mean, do you feel like, it sounds like you can feel energy, like
Oh yeah.
you can feel energies and all that. I mean, do you feel it coming back to you? Do you know when it's coming back to you?
At times, like I know it's constantly coming back. I know that, I've just met so many people, wonderful people that, that I love, that love me, and that at any given time they're thinking of me. I get just getting random messages on Facebook too. Someone will just send some love or thank me for something that, I might not even be aware that I did. Maybe it's just thanking for the music, or a song impacted them in a constructive way. And
Yeah,
sometimes it'll bring me to tears because it's so heavy. Like, you know how it is when you're open, people will be more open with you. Like, people you don't even know will come up and feel inclined to share really intense, heavy things, because it's almost like we carry this invisible sign above us that says, hey, this is a safe space to do that. Like, I care, and you can do that, and it's okay. And
yeah,
that happens on the regular, not every day, but it
yeah,
still happens even without touring and with the pandemic and stuff. I still get that comes back to me, and it's incredibly humbling. As I like to say, it swells my heart, not my head. It's like this, just wow, like how I'll take that over being a superstar, or being rich or famous, or um in the limelight, all the
yeah,
paparazzi any day.
yeah,
Just like to have that kind of impact, like,
yeah,
hey, we had a talk 3 years ago and it helped me to get sober. It's like, whoa, like, wow.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm very aware. Like, I forget just like anyone else, but the love that comes back is incredible. There are people that make it a point, and my closest friends, my song, as I like to call them, they make it a point to check in on me and send me love and remind me, like, like, hey, how are you doing? I hope you're awesome. And like, that goes a long way. Like, not everybody has someone doing that for them, so that's why I try to do it more for
yeah,
everyone else too. Because hey, because I believe there's beauty in all of us. I think it's past the traumas and damage and hurts that we carry, and maybe not healthy things that we've learned to do. I
yeah,
believe there's beautiful light inside of each of us, that our hearts are golden.
yeah.
So
And we have to work at exuding that and sharing that,
yeah.
and being conscious of it. Had someone comment here, Melissa saying hello. I think she's saying that. I think she's saying that maybe you're a healer. You are, in a sense, like a healer, and I say a messenger as well. That it's a very interesting gift. Your empathy and understanding, um, and a butterfly. So,
Oh, thank
th-
you.
thanks everybody for commenting, and I can't believe we're like out of time. I gotta have you on
Oh,
again, and we'll
let's do it
we'll
again.
we'll talk about owls and ravens and symbology and all that kind of. I think that would be a fun show. I
Dude,
think we could,
that's so down. Yeah.
yeah, we could spend easy an hour on that. But so for everybody out there, I'm going to put this up here. Um, check out James' website, and put on this one here, honeycuttmusic.com. We've got it up there. I'll also put it on my show page so you can listen to more of James' music. Thanks for sharing your music tonight and sharing your thoughts and your life, man. Thanks for coming on and bearing it all out there.
I love you, buddy. Thank you for having me, man. I this is fun, man. I could do this all the time.
Yeah, well,
Anytime.
I'll
anytime.
definitely have you on again. Mary says thank you, Pete and James. Thanks, Mary, for listening.
Thank you, Mary.
But again, yeah, go check out James' website. Follow him on the socials, so you can experience what he's got going on. You can find out when you got any gigs coming up.
I'm playing at the filling station in Kingston this Saturday, actually. So I'm pretty close to you this weekend.
Yeah, what time are you playing?
7 to 10.
That's the time of my tour. Dang it!
Yeah, totally. No, totally.
I'll wave at you. I'll wave that direction.
I'll sing Raven song for you, man. I'll be
right.
thinking of you.
Oh, thanks. That's really cool. Thank you. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Many thanks to James. Next week, I've got psychic medium McKenna Long coming on the show, and then we're going to have a fun conversation about mediumship and all the things that can come with it. So join us next Tuesday. But for now, I wish everyone to be well, be present, hug the ones you're with, say hey to everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again, James, and to everyone out there here on WLTK-DB. I'm your host, Peter Orbea, on the Paranormal Pete Show. Got a couple people saying great show. Thanks, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
And Katie, thanks so much.
Katie.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you. And be sure to check out all the other shows. See you next week, guys. Take care.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.